Welcome to the party.
Recording, let it clear up and catch up. All right, here we go. 3, 2, 1. Boom! Back at it again. Johnny and the Greg. We are.
How you doing?
Good. We're just kind of doing a topic storm today, aren't we, Greg?
We are. Yeah, we're gonna just record some shows, different topics that we want to talk about.
Yeah. If
Yeah.
anybody out there listening or anybody out there watching, if you guys have any topics you'd like us to hit on or anything like that, let us know in our Facebook app or our Instagram page. However you guys want to connect us. We also have an email.
We do.
Yeah.
JohnnyandtheGreg@gmail.com.
Boom. So we'd like to hear from you. Let us know. Greg, what's on the agenda today?
One that's been kind of bugging me a little bit, and bugging might not be the right word. This is more of a plea to the American people. It's not political. It's not social. It's more of it's just something. So with COVID and with the shutdowns and quite recently, the state of Wisconsin, we were at a 50, like people could host up to 50% capacity. Our governor said, nope, we're going to scale that back to 25% again.
Really?
Yep. And so
I mean, recently? Did that happen recently?
Yeah, within the past, I believe, week here.
Okay.
But there's different places that are doing it, and some that are. I did read one. It was from a local law enforcement agency in one of the towns, kind of around me. They posted on their Facebook page or their social media page. It was a letter to the community saying, "We can't enforce this. Like, please follow the governor's rules." But the truth of the matter is that if you call 911 saying that there's a bar and they're over 50, they're over the set capacity and people aren't wearing masks and blah 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 blah, they're like, we're not going to drive out there and be like, everybody out, or we're not going to shut people down. They're like, we have criminals to catch. So
yeah, makes sense.
They're like, please follow by the rules.
Right.
But so an industry that's kind of near and dear to my heart is the movie theater industry, the cinema industry.
Mm-hmm.
And there are some, there are giant conglomerates. There's around the upper Midwest, there's Marcus movie theaters, and they are everywhere. And then there's, national chains like AMC and a couple other ones that are now slipping my mind. But those theaters that you find all across the country, and a lot of them are shut down. Some of them are open, playing a couple films, or they're doing like throwback films. But all the new movies are just getting constantly delayed. And in this past week, Disney, their next Pixar film called Soul, which was going to be a big release, because we haven't had a lot released. They're like, you know what, we're going to go straight to Disney Plus, and that completely cuts out the movie theater industry. And so, like the movie theater I visit the most is a independently owned. Like mom and pop might not be the best way to describe it, but it's a community. It's the only one. It's the only one in the community. It is there. It's there. I mean, they support lots of community causes, lots of local businesses, everything else. But I haven't really talked to the manager, who's a friend of mine. His name's Matt. I haven't asked him straight out, like, are you guys struggling? Are you guys like can you stay open? And because he's such a positive guy. If even I get close to the topic, he's like, man, we're making it. We're pushing along. It's it's rough, but we're here. And but that's just a blow. And he posted some stuff like they've delayed Wonder Woman again. That's not going to come out till at least next year.
Right, of course.
Or it might just go straight to VOD, video on demand.
Right.
The Disney film got delayed again. Right now, like movies to look forward to, it's not an independent film, but Dylan O'Brien made a film called Monsters
or something.
Monster something.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. I saw the trailer. Monster. It's like Monster.
not like a big budget, and then it's got some special effects and
Right.
um,
That looked
but
weird, and I like that guy.
it's got a very independent film feel to it, which I
Right.
like, and I think it's probably going to be a good film. Um, but that's coming out, I think, sometime in October,
Hmm.
early November, like whenever that will come out. And then I heard Ryan Reynolds, the Free Guy, is
Yeah.
sticking to their December 11th, but that's remains to be seen.
Right.
Um, so I don't know. They don't even list on IMDb Dylan O'Brien's monster movie,
Oh
which is
yeah.
weird.
That
That
is
is
weird.
weird that they're not even going to list it unless
Yeah.
I.
Yeah. This is it's kind of tough because I can understand. I just like I have this big feeling that malls are going bye bye. Um, I
Yep.
also believe that this is also the way that the theaters are going. And I've kind of felt this
Yep.
way for about 5 years. I think you and I have talked about this. And you're right. I think the theaters though will always stay, there was always going to be a little niche for it
Well, yeah,
because
there
it's
will be
almost
guys like me
this
that want to see a movie in a theater. Like
right.
last weekend, um, the theater that I know and love, they played Batman, like the 1989 Michael Keaton Batman film, and
Right.
it was part of a charity event. Like, and so I paid, I think, $1 to get in, but I would have paid $10 to get in to see that
Right.
movie on the screen again, which I haven't seen in a movie theater since I was 12,
Right.
11, whatever.
Yeah.
So yeah, I would totally do that, but it's they got to be hurt. I
Oh, of
mean,
course they have to be earned. I think they absolutely have to. In fact, my thought, and I don't know how this works, but can AMC just let's just take AMC for example. Can't they just? I'm sure they have somebody looking into. Um, hey, can we set up something like Netflix where if people want to watch the new movies coming out, it comes to us and we will put it on video on demand type of
well,
thing. Like I know
maybe
they can't do that with Disney because Disney's kind of like, well, why do we have this server? Why would we pay a middleman to
right,
do this?
exactly. And it's Dylan O'Brien movies called Love and Monsters.
That's
Um, so, and this is part of what I got from talking with Matt over the years. The other piece to this is like when people sneak snacks into a movie theater.
yeah.
Everybody's done it. I used to do it. I don't anymore after having this conversation. Like, if you go into like an AMC and let's say it's a 6 o'clock show, 7 o'clock show, whatever, you're gonna pay 15.50 maybe. I mean, that's what it kind of is up here. I don't know what it's down by your area to go to buy a movie ticket to an evening show. Um, like literally, the theater gets to keep maybe $3 of that.
Right.
Like the percentage of ticket sales that goes back to the studios is astronomical.
Yeah.
So the only way those movie theaters are really making money is on
It's
concessions,
concessions. Yeah.
which is why your tub of popcorn is $12, or
Right.
that box of candy that you can go to Walgreens or whatever and get cheaper is $5. It's because that's like the only pure profit that they can get, or that it's not even pure profit because they still got to buy it at their cost,
Yeah.
and they got to mark it up to make a profit. That's
Hmm.
it. So that's
Yeah.
why I'm like, if I'm going into a movie theater and I know that if I want this theater to stay here and stay open,
Hmm.
you got to buy concessions there. I mean, you
Yeah.
just got
There in our area there are theaters now. Pretty much all the theaters that are around our area, there's a bar there.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and you can, get a pretty good drink there and go watch a movie. I know that
Mm,
there's one I think there's only a couple around the area where I live that there's like it's like dinner and a movie. Like you
mhm,
go there, you get a really good dinner while you're
mhm.
sitting there watching a movie, which doesn't sound like a bad way to go. COVID's screwed everything up, and
It
COVID's
really has.
opened some opportunities that I said that I this also adds to my mall thing is that and as well as grocery stores, people that didn't want to try online shopping were kind of forced to.
Mm-hmm.
And then they realized that this isn't as bad as I thought it was, and it's actually pretty convenient. And
Mm-hmm.
so online just became bigger in a lot of people's eyes that were kind of putting it off before they tried it. Like there's like I know what you're saying about theaters because I feel the same way, and this is a weird way to compare it, but I'm not a fan of the big books. The big when they come out, like Matthew Riley's new book's coming out
Mm-hmm.
in 2 days here, and it's a hard copy. I'm not a fan of the hard copy.
Yeah.
I'm a fan of the small copy, but I gotta wait like a year and a half
Oh, sure.
before that
Yeah.
comes out. So what I'm saying is I
Mm-hmm.
like that. I like the feel. I like how I can carry it around over. I like the way the pages. I just like the way it feels. And I think you're like that way with the movie theater where it's this
Mm-hmm.
it takes you back. It's nostalgic. And I think
It's
that's
an
the only way.
experience.
Yeah, that's the only way I think movies are gonna really or theaters are going to survive. I think you can't stop the digital age. It's like didn't TV panic for a while when or no, radio panicked when TV came
Right.
into
Yeah.
existence, right?
Mm-hmm.
Movie theaters are going to have to find a way to adapt or they're going to die. It's just the way it is. And
But,
I know what you're saying in terms of, because I feel like, Greg, you're emotionally attached to it because you know a
oh,
guy,
sure.
you see
Yeah.
the
Well,
struggle. And,
and it's
um,
a, to me, it's a great pastime. I love going to a movie theater. I
yeah,
mean,
there's
I
something great
always
about
have.
it. Yeah.
Um, it's an experience. I mean, you know, the my, I think probably any girl I ever dated, our first dates were dinner and a movie. I mean, it was standard.
Right.
Um, you know, my wife and I we have memories attached to certain movies. I mean,
Of course.
it's so anyway. The You're right about the transition. And there's nothing wrong with some of the VOD stuff. Like when, especially in your position where you have little children,
Hmm.
you know, there's something to be said for, you know, if you pay 30-40 bucks to get a new release on, I think when Mulan came out on Disney Plus, it was 30 bucks and you got it for 24 hours, I
Right.
think.
Yeah.
And, you know, you pay that money. If you're getting 10 minutes in, your kid's being a shit, or you need to pause it for whatever reason,
Yeah. You
that's
can't.
useful.
Yeah.
That's useful. Like if you do that in a movie theater, like they go and sit down and then they decide to have a screaming fit, someone's getting up and leaving the theater, or everyone is,
Right.
and it's just not worth it.
Right.
But like my kids that are older, and like we made it like when Star Wars was coming out, we made an experience out of it. Like as a family, we would all go see Star Wars, and that was
Right.
huge. It would not be the same if Star Wars came out and I was like, okay, everybody, put your sweatpants on and you know fight over the blanket that everybody loves because you're going to be sitting on the couch and guaranteed because this happens with a movie now. We get 45 minutes into a movie that everybody's actually interested in watching.
Yeah.
You know, at least a couple of my kids, maybe my wife, are here. Just you
All
guys
doing
watching the
that
movie?
eventually.
Yeah, I am watching. I'm watching the movie. I'm just watching the movie. I'm just checking a couple things while I watch the movie. It's okay.
That's really weird. I know what you're saying about that. That's a weird thing because today we were watching a show and I found myself doing that,
Mm-hmm.
and I was
Yeah,
like,
I
"What?
find myself doing it too.
What am I doing? Like, just put this freaking phone down and just pay attention to what you're watching."
Yeah.
Um, so that's really hard. But I mean, that's a different subject with the damn phone and how addictive it is. But yeah, yeah, I don't want to see movie theaters go away either.
No.
But I feel like that's that's just what's going to happen. Or it's
Well,
going to be a situation where they're like, "Mom, Dad, we went to a movie theater today." Like it's
yeah.
going to be that it's going to be a nostalgic experience.
There
Um,
is like drive-in movies kind of made a resurgence with
they
this
had to,
COVID
yeah.
stuff. Yeah,
Yes, absolutely.
which is cool,
I agree.
but I don't want to see that happen to like the cinema that you go and sit in, where it's like an emergency situation. Like, well, we're going to make movie theaters now happen again, and you're like, well, I don't want to see that happen. So,
Right. Um, I feel for you. I feel for that gentleman. Um, I
the
feel for
only thing I
anybody
can
out
think,
there. Go
the
ahead.
only thing I can think is that like all these movies, like pretty much the entire summer of film, and I
Gone.
think we did a show like somewhere around like in January about movies we were looking forward to in
Yeah, you're
2020. We were talking about Top Gun. We were talking about, just a ton of stuff, Wonder Woman, everything else. And all those movies have been pushed to next year.
Yeah.
But at the same time, all the movies that were supposed to come out in 2021 are like kind of still coming out in 2021.
Yeah.
So I hope that the 2021 is just going to be absolutely filled with awesome movies that everybody's going to want to go see. And that studios will still put those out there, because you can social distance in a theater. Like, I've been to the theater more than a couple times.
But does that also hurt if it's not full seats, though? That's still going to hurt the bottom line.
It might hurt their bottom line, but I mean,
better than nothing type thing.
It's better than nothing. Yeah, I mean, I heard Mulan didn't perform well on Disney Plus, and people were like, "Well, it wasn't going to perform well anyway." I'm like,
I kind of felt that way. I kind of felt that way, actually.
I would have seen it. Like, if it was in a movie theater, I would have gone and seen it in a movie theater. But on Disney Plus, I just haven't bothered.
Interesting. I mean, it's right there. It's right on your fingertips.
It is. It's right there.
Yeah,
right on my fingertips. I could put in my $30 and go.
Do you think that's a part of you that understands that if you were to hit this, you're part of the problem now?
Yeah, possibly. It's and it's the wrong film for me. Like, I'm not doing that for Mulan, and I don't know what film, like Wonder Woman. I think if Wonder Woman goes straight to VOD, like if they were to do that, I think my family would be like, we're watching Wonder Woman. Like, that's
I would
you need to cough it up, Dad. Let's go.
Yeah, I'm waiting. I'm waiting for Black Widow to do that.
Yeah, which I really hope it doesn't. I mean,
I get you. I understand where you're coming from with that. I don't know if I feel the same way, but I'm on this fence with you, because I understand exactly what you're saying, but at the same time, are you and I being the old men back in our day life was better?
Maybe. Well, I'm trying to struggle with that, or I'm trying to wrap my head around it. Am I just being the guy that like is saying 8-track is better? 8-track sounds better. We should have never gotten away from 8-track. We should have never gotten away from vinyl. Right. Whatever that. I'm trying not to be that guy.
Hold on a second. Time out. Is that a bad thing if you are that guy? Like, no, what's wrong with the classics?
There's vinyl collectors everywhere.
Exactly.
But what I can't do is,
ignore.
Well, again, for the great comparison would be the vinyl guys. Like, a new album comes out, and they're going to pay $30-$40 for the vinyl pressing, when I'm like, I can buy it on iTunes for whatever. I mean, that's a difference. Like, I can't, if I want my entire family to go see a movie, I can't pay $30 a ticket to help support that theater to make that happen. I mean,
I guess that's the problem, right? Like, beyond
theaters,
I
can't drop like $150 just on tickets to go see a movie.
I don't think anybody can nowadays, especially nowadays.
Some people could, but again, then it turns into Broadway. Then it turns into like you're paying those Broadway or like live performance kind of prices, because I will do that. I'll drop $150 on 2 tickets. So for Chris and I to go see a Broadway level show, maybe even more than that. I mean, because I know those can get astronomically high. But then you're paying for, anywhere from 3 to 4 hours of an experience,
right?
As opposed to like an hour and a half to 2 hours,
right?
So I don't know if they came out and said, okay, this is what it's going to be, $50 for you to get in and go to a movie for a ticket. If it was only a 2-hour movie, I don't know if I could do that.
Yeah.
As opposed to sitting at home and getting it. VOD.
I understand. It's an interesting question. I think we're at this time of our lives where this was forced on us.
Yeah.
And it's making a lot of people scramble. I always thought this was the way it was going to go, but I thought it was going to be about, 10, 15 years down the line, honestly, because you'd have the movie industry or the movie theater people fighting this as long as they could to hold it off, while maybe in the background they're trying to think of plan B for when this
Mhm.
does drop. And now it's like, boom, everything's shut down. Oh wow, everybody, the country's depressed. Let's release Onward on Disney Plus
Yeah.
and make everybody happy for 2 hours.
Well, and there is,
Which is
I
the
mean, there
wrong
is
movie, by the
there's
way,
the
because that's a
movie
very depressing
theater.
movie.
Right. I love Onward. I like it.
I'm
I think
not
it's
saying
good.
it's not a bad movie. I'm not saying it's not a good movie. I'm saying it pulls at you where you didn't think it would pull at you that way.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. There is a group called, I believe it's the Movie Theater Owners Association,
Okay.
and that's like a national association, and um, they've had contracts with movie studios for decades,
Yes.
going back to like when that was the only option. It's
Mhm.
almost like the beer distributor, like you've got the breweries and the beer distributors, and like the beer distributors are like, hey, breweries, yes, you make the beer, but we're the one that releases your product, so
Right.
be
Right.
nice to us.
Right.
And now that middleman that is getting a little bit removed, like the movie theater association, that group is like, hey
Right.
man, we still have contracts, like we still have binding bylaws, or I don't know, but I guess contracts of like you're not supposed to release your movies without us.
Right.
Like you have to,
There's a
even to
partnership.
the, yeah, it's a partnership. Like even
Yeah.
like it goes down to, like if you're a movie studio and you want to release a film, like the deal with that is like, okay, and I don't know if it's per film. God, I wish I had Matt on right now. He'd be able to tell us. But let's say if you are really like Top Gun was supposed to come out this year.
Yeah.
Like Top Gun is going to be in the movie for so many days or
Right.
so many weeks.
If it
And
does
that,
well.
yeah.
Right?
And that, well, not even if it does well, like you need to commit. And that's part of the partnership is like the movie theater will say, okay, we're not going to put it out on VOD or home video or anything like that for so many weeks.
Right.
And that weeks usually could turn into like 3 or 4 months. We're not going to do that if movie theater association, you promise that it's going to stay in theaters for that many weeks. So even if the movie sucks, even if there's some kind of uproar about it, you need to guarantee that that's going to be on your screens for so many weeks. So bigger movie theaters like AMC and Marcus, they have to commit to, yes, this gets prime placement in our cinemas for so many weeks. So another thing that I heard about that was like with Star Wars, like when Lucas was still in charge, Lucas would say, hey, if you want to show Star Wars at your theater, it's going to be in your largest screening room. So if you know how many hundreds of seats you can provide, it's got to be in your largest screening room for this many weeks. And some theater owners will say, well, but our audience will trickle off at this many weeks. And Lucas is like, I don't care. You're going to keep it in there for 8-9 weeks, even though it may drop off at 5. That's the placement. Like if you want my movie, that's the placement.
Interesting.
So there's a lot of like business things
Little
about
things.
that most
Yeah.
people don't know about.
It sounds like to
I
me
mean,
that
it's stuff like that. It's stuff like that that makes me go, yeah, fine. I'll pay $5 for a bag of Skittles.
I think it's something that I think we've done a disservice. We should have had Matt on here to talk about
You
this.
probably should. And
Yeah.
I don't know if he listens or not, but he probably would be happy to come on.
Cool. Let's figure that out and get that done.
We would talk about this topic for probably 15 minutes and then get all of our questions answered, and then we would just talk movies and random stuff for
sounds like Johnny and the Greg.
45. It sounds like a typical Johnny and the Greg episode, yes.
Yeah. I'm with you, but at the same time I understand progress. So but I think it's going to happen to a lot of stuff that you and I like. If you think about it, all right, and I don't want to hang on to this too long, but that even transitions into sports. Like in my opinion, the 90s basketball was way better than what I'm watching now. So much to the point where I don't really watch it that much anymore. And the 80s football, the 80s NFL was so much better than now, which, it's a totally different game now. So I think that's what I'm saying is the movie theater thing. It just might be a transition to now digital age of we just download it and everybody has parties at their house.
Well, that's I mean, there are people that have some sweet setups.
Oh yeah,
house.
exactly.
They've got giant screens. They got great sound. I don't have that. I got a very what's become probably now a low tech kind of setup.
Right.
So to me, going to a movie theater is definitely an upgrade.
Right.
I know one guy who, like, when 3D TVs first came out, he went gangbusters with it, and
Yeah.
he's like, yeah, my 3D actually beats the pants out of anything you'll see in the theater, and he has like the full surround and everything else. And I went over to watch a movie at his place once, and it was cool. And he's got, like, all leather theater chairs and things like that. To me, it was still lacking kind of that mystique of the experience of going to a movie theater.
Here's where you win with the movie theater thing. Okay, I'm gonna play you. It's been a while since I've switched over here, so I might screw this up. But hang on a second. All right, I
Go
gotta
big with
pause
Taco
it.
Bell's Nachos Party Pack.
Okay.
Nachos
So-
party pack.
Oh, you heard that?
I did, yeah.
Okay. So then maybe I don't have to put my headphones on here, but I'm gonna play you guys. This is a 6-second commercial. Sorry about that. Maybe I can play this without sound. But anyway, what I want to do is I want to give you a great example of what you're talking about, that you won't get this anywhere else other than a movie theater. So
Oh, okay.
I'm gonna play
If
through.
it's what I'm thinking of, then I have an anecdote to add after this.
Okay. So I don't know if you guys know, but there's a movie out there called the Avengers Infinity War. And it's a pretty big movie. Maybe if you haven't seen it, you should see it. But I want to share with everybody here the reaction that in the movie theater of when Thor arrives to Wakanda. And tell me if you can get this at your house if you were to watch this.
With 5 people.
Yeah. You see my screen, sir?
I do now, yes.
Okay, here we go. Or not. All right, you got my point.
Yeah.
Anywho, my point of that is
great moment.
Yeah, it's a great moment. And if I challenge anybody to go on YouTube right now that loves that movie and loves that experience, put on your headphones and just be in that moment. You get chills. I got chills right now.
Oh yeah,
You
absolutely.
don't get those chills. You don't get those chills unless you're in a theater experiencing that. I remember when we watched Tony Stark get stabbed and everybody went, oh, right?
Yeah.
And you felt the weight of that there at the theater. So I'm with you there. You're not going to get that sitting down with your 5 best friends, because you always have that one friend, and this annoys the shit out of me. This is why I don't watch the Super Bowl with anybody. You always have that one friend that thinks it's his time to be the comedian, and he'll take away a moment, right? He'll take away a moment. He'll take away a good moment. If everybody's into the movie, he'll say well, the shark's fake there. You can tell that's a fake robot. It's like, thanks, Bob. Dick. It's
the Avengers. It's all fake.
Right, exactly. But that helps.
When we saw Endgame in the theater, it was all a bunch of nerds because they were all my friends. No, that was a great moment too.
Yes.
But when the hammer jiggled and then and it's in Cap's hands.
Yes.
We're all like, yeah. I mean,
exactly.
It was you can't get that feel when you're sitting. I mean, maybe if you had a room full of your friends and like you're all going to watch, but still, I mean, you got to have.
No, you're right. You almost need strangers. You almost need strangers.
And, I mean,
I remember
sense. One of the greatest film, like going to the movie experiences I had. I mean, I was in my 20s. Gosh, you know what? I don't even know if I was married yet. I was with my wife though, and UW-Madison, one of the theaters downtown, right off of campus, they had a midnight showing of Raiders of the Lost Ark, and we looked at each other and went, "Oh yeah, we're going to this." So we drove into Madison, got to the theater, sat down, and like everybody's just jazzed up. There's a couple people in costume, and honestly, the theater was a shitty little theater. It was not
Right.
like a big Cineplex, all digital. I mean, it was kind of like there were water stains on the wall. I mean, it was
You sure those are
bad.
water stains?
Yeah, they were. They were. Um, but I mean, and we're in there with a bunch of other college kids too.
Yeah.
And the movie's like 10 minutes before it's gonna start, maybe even more. The guys in the back are trying to argue about why does the Nazi symbol on the box burn away when the Ark is on the ship? Why do you think that is? And they're gonna go on out of nowhere, like one group of people, they just go done, dun 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 dun. Within 30 seconds, the entire theater is like dun, 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 and we're just kind of like everybody, and
Yeah.
it energized like.
Yeah, I get it.
Harrison Ford comes through the jungle and on the screen. The theater exploded. I mean, we're just like, yeah! I mean, it was awesome.
Yeah.
When I went and saw Batman,
Same
the
thing.
I'm Batman. I mean, he does that line. I mean, and it was not like well attended. There was probably at most 15 people in the entire theater on a Friday night, watching a movie from 30 years ago.
1989. Yeah.
Yeah, but the what are you? I'm Batman. All of us were like, yes. I mean, it was.
Right.
You could just feel it, and like I knew the two guys on my right and nobody else, and we all still shared a moment. It was
Yeah. No, I think we'll end it there because you can't top it like that. I think that's the. I think anybody that is sitting there saying to themselves, "I don't need movie theaters anymore," they need to watch that clip on YouTube, and they need to go, "Oh, maybe I am missing that."
I'm gonna end it one more because like I brought up the kids. People are like, well, maybe not for the kids. I'm gonna call bullshit on that too because my son was like 5 or 6.
Yeah.
And I took him to go see How to Train Your Dragon, the first one.
Okay.
And he's sitting on my lap, and he's kind of been in and out of the movie, but we're at like the climax of the film where Toothless is stuck at the bottom of the sea on a ship. He's locked down. Hickman goes down there, gets him out, or they get him out, and then they literally come like shooting out of the water. When that happened, my little son, he just went, yeah, and he like arms up like full into it, and I was like shedding a tear. I can't hear that score anymore and be like, that's the movie that got my son involved in really
movies.
enjoying watching movies. And like I was like, oh well, he's my boy. He's it's still like you watch that movie, it's a great film. So yep.
Cool. I think that's a really good place to end it.
Good for all.
We'll end that with a fact of the day. Hopefully this fact of the day will be as inspiring as that was. I don't think so. Because during the Chernobyl disaster, Alexandra Lelachenko saved his colleagues from radiation exposure by walking through radioactive water 3 times in place of his younger colleagues. He died less than 2 weeks after the disaster. This is interesting because my wife has been watching the Chernobyl on HBO.
Did she watch Chernobyl? Oh my god!
You gotta watch that. She's only in 2 episodes. I just got into it the second episode, and I just watched it where they walked into this pipe. The 3 guys voluntered. They walked into those pipes, and it seemed like they got lost, and their shit started failing and
die.
That looks horrible.
I think it is one of those guys. They show his death, and they show what like that level of radiation poisoning does to the human body, and it's gruesome. I believe it's probably as realistic as it truly was.
Yeah,
and just watching that whole thing just boggles the mind. Like the information that they have now of like how much pride and like the we got it figured out. Right. That each as everybody's like, we can tell you got a problem. They're like, no, we'll take care of it. And you're like, oh my god.
Yeah.
So just
I asked her because I heard about it. I don't know where I heard about it. I said, did they talk about the elephant's foot? She goes, what the hell's the elephant's foot? Do you know what that is?
Not off the top of my head, but
it is this 2 metric ton melted. I don't know what it is that's melted, but basically what it is, I think it's just melted radioactive sludge. And it's weighs 2 metric tons. It's still there in Chernobyl. It's still burning a hole through the concrete that it sits on. It's still
because they still. I mean,
nobody can get. I think
Yeah.
if you get 3 feet, if you get to 3 feet of it, you will just basically start boiling.
There are people that are still trying to sneak into that area to like see it. They're like, it's all a conspiracy. It's not that bad. And I'm like, dude, yeah.
Yeah, there's a
This
reason.
wasn't
why
like a military thing.
Yeah.
This was a nuclear meltdown.
Yeah, it's bad. Yeah. So sorry to end it there, folks, but we're gonna end it there.
But go watch HBO's series.
Yes,
it is
absolutely,
good.
absolutely.
Or better yet, go to your local theater and see if they can play it.
Boom.
Episode per episode.
And we'll see if we can get Mike. You said his name was Mike?
Matt.
We'll see if we get Matt on, and we'll talk about this later. All right.
I'm going to tag him in this episode, and he'll probably contact me and be like, when do we want to do this?
Cool. All right. Matt, look forward to it. Anyway, for everybody listening out there, thank you very much again for the Greg. This is Johnny. Podcast out.